It is Gabz FM, powered to engage your world on a Sunday evening. Welcome to it, 7:23. Getting into this week's edition of the Lounge Convo. Checking out a special edition right here on the Lounge Convo. That's where we get to put the spotlight on the BW film and TV scene. Today being the 3rd of December 2023, International Day of Persons with Disabilities. A day that is a UN day that is celebrated every year on this day. And according to the definition, the UN defines disability such in this way, the term persons with disabilities is used to apply to all persons with disabilities, including those who have long-term physical, mental, intellectual, or sensory impairments, which in interaction with various attitudinal and environmental barriers hinders their full and effective participation in society on an equal basis with others. You know, that is the definition right there. And I believe for you listening, you find that over time you got to understand what disabilities are, because you find that throughout the years, you know, there are certain things we didn't know, and we got to understand as time goes on. And on this here episode, as we commemorate this day, we are being joined by an actress, a speaker, as well as a content creator. But for the benefit of this here conversation, she's an actress, because you get to see her on TV. We have the one and only Mumsie Odirile. Good evening, and how are you doing?
I'm great, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for accepting, this here invite. I'm sure yesterday you could pick that I was quite nervous because, I was, I don't know, the week kind of escaped me, and I'm like, but I need to have this conversation on this day.
Yeah.
And I've seen you on TV, and I need to have her in studio so that we have a conversation around this.
Thank you so much. The moment you said why you wanted me on, I was like, you know what? If I have to cancel something, I will, and I'm just going to be here. It's fine.
We do thank you for accepting the invitation. You are an actress, and we get to see you on a very long-running show called Botshelo Jo, which airs on BTV1 every Thursday. Now, just before we do get into our conversation, how long have you been a part of this show, and which character do you play?
I have been a part of the show from its inception. I play the character Faith. Faith is Pakalan, daughter of Dineo and George, who is going through quite a bit. She's just finding herself, finding her own place, and just trying to be her own person outside of Gimwana Muhumi type vibes. So yeah.
All right, okay. So you play the rich heiress.
Pretty much.
Okay. I mean, I saw that clip where somebody was telling me about Pani, and I'm like, okay. So that's your friend in the story.
That's my roommate. Yes.
Oh, your roommate. Adversity.
Yes.
Oh yes.
Her first time experiencing being away from home, and I was like, who is this and what is going on type. Yeah.
And here we are commemorating the day of persons living with disabilities. Now, when it comes to TV, over the years, we've had people who are on screen. You find that some act as people who have disabilities and actually do not have disabilities that are acting, but you find that TV, being the medium that it is and knowing its power, has had shows that are actually led by people with disabilities. One of the shows that I used to watch way back in the day, it came out in the 80s out in the States, but we got to watch it in the 90s, is a show called Life Goes On, which was actually led by one of the leads being Chris Berg, who plays Corky on the show, and he has Down syndromes. And one other big film that you may know that has a person who lives with disabilities is a movie called A Quiet Place, and Millicent Simmons, who plays Emily, is deaf and actually is on the show and plays a deaf person on the show. And one other show that I actually like that it has a person with disabilities being a lead in there, or one of the leads, is a show called Fear the Walking Dead. And it's played by an actor who, when he started off, he was not paralyzed, but due to a car accident, he got paralyzed, but still continued acting. His name is Daryl Mitchell. So these are just some of the examples that show what TV has done over the years in ensuring that they actually get to include people with disabilities within this great medium. Now, for you, you are an actress in Botswana.
Mm-hmm.
We have a film and TV space that's, arguably still finding its feet.
Yeah.
There was a time it was active, then it got a bit down. Then I think around about 2018 when Now TV came, there was that rise again of the space. For you as a person living with disabilities, how do you define our space and its acceptance of people who are with disabilities from your experiences?
People just don't know. One, I feel like we don't talk enough about disability just in general.
Mm-hmm.
And now disability in the space that we're in entertainment, on television and stuff like that. A very superficial industry, a very superficial space that is really a lot about, looks at looks and stuff, and it's when you see someone different, it throws you off a little bit. For me personally, I actually didn't even know about all the names that you just mentioned and all the. Actually, I'm gonna look them up now. But I feel like we need to start by just making people more knowledgeable and more comfortable with having conversation about disability, so that when you see someone with disability on screen, it's not such a, for lack of a better term, a shock.
Oh yeah.
It's not too surprising. It's just kind of like, oh, it's the norm in a way. It's to hella like me.
Because to be honest, yes, before I called you, like I was there debating. I'm like, okay, hey, maybe I don't want to, because you never want to say wrong stuff. You never want to say, then I'm like, yeah, but if I don't have this conversation, who else is going to have this conversation around this space? And I'm like, let me just, then I got your number and I called you. We do continue this conversation right here on Gabz FM. We're talking film and TV, and we're talking people with disabilities within the space. And right here we have Mumsie Odirile, who is an actress. Do keep it locked. It is Gabz FM, power to engage your world, the Lounge Convo. We do continue our conversation right here with Mumsie Odirile, who is an actress and a person who lives with disabilities. Now, you're just talking about how, because of the medium being artificial and all these things, when a person gets to see a person with disabilities on TV or on film, it's there's still that shock that comes with it. Now, for you as a person who you act, you're there with people in this realm. Let's start from the audition phases of the different auditions that have been there, that you've attended. Were we accommodative in terms of people in the space? Because obviously I get an audition where we're looking for a person who can play this character.
Yes.
And you, as a person who went to school, media studies and everything, and obviously, I take as well, as a child, you kind of loved this thing called acting or being on stage and all this.
Yeah.
Now, when you go for auditions, what has it been like throughout your journey as an actress?
I always go to auditions knowing and acknowledging the fact that this industry is quite hectic on looks. So I always go in prepared. Okay, maybe I'm not going to get it, but I'm going to let my talent speak for me. because I know her as a writer doesn't necessarily write for someone with a disability, someone who has albinism, someone in a wheelchair, they don't necessarily write for that. They just write for your quote unquote able-bodied person. So for me, I just let my talent do its work, and every audition is a chance for me to make that production house aware that there are other people outside of your I like to say your regular schmegular human being. So the audition space for me, yes, of course, you can see when you go into the audition room. I remember when I auditioned for Colors. When I auditioned for Colors, I was so worried. I was like, what am I doing? I might not even get this role, but let's just see how it goes. And I don't know, maybe I was overthinking it. Maybe I saw what wasn't really there, but I kind of felt like I felt a sense of, okay, this is different. But let's see how it goes. And I did get to the next stage. And I was like, okay, clearly I'm doing something right. I also have, apart from my disability, my physical disability, I do have a lisp. But Selimi Soneseo got me my very first radio acting gig because it made me different. So even growing up, my disability has not hindered me. My disability has actually helped me move forward in a sense. So I don't know. It could work for you. Because you're different sometimes is good. But yeah, auditions for me are just a chance for me to kind of open the space for, if not me, then somebody else who comes in might be lucky enough to, be cast in a big production as a lead, doing something that you wouldn't think a person in a wheelchair, a person who's blind would naturally do.
And you find that in other markets, just like the shows that I mentioned earlier, there are those scripts that are purposeful in terms of, we want a person in a wheelchair.
Yeah,
this is what we want. Like, I mean, Drake's first role as an actor, he played a paralyzed. His character was paralyzed. He was on a wheelchair. It's a show from. Way back in the day, when he was a kid and everything. So there are those shows where it's purposeful and they actually do go look for a person who is in a wheelchair, or a person who's blind, or a person who's deaf. You know, they actually go out there, or a person who has what's the thing we're talking about of
ADHD.
Even though I'm not sure, but I'm sure it's also. I'm not sure it's one. I'm not sure, but sure. From the definition that I read out, I guess it also gets to be labeled as a disability.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So, in terms of now the conversations you have with people within the space who are in charge of shows and all, do you get a chance to actually interact with them and just talk about, being purposeful in terms of just write this character this way? Because I take it out for most auditions, you would go for how okay, then, all right, she's good. That means we need to go change the character to accommodate, where you find originally they didn't write for a person in a wheelchair.
Yes.
Yeah. But do you have those conversations with people in the space? Because you've been acting for a while now.
Yes, it's very important. It's very important. You can't write about or write for someone that you don't really understand. And it's okay to acknowledge that I really don't know. I really don't know what do you need? Because maybe I'm okay with the way you've written your character. Maybe I can actually just, do everything. So just having those conversations is very important. I've been blessed to work with producers and directors who are open to me actually just letting them know if maybe I'm not comfortable with something. The season airtime ya Botshelo Jo stretched me a lot because I even allowed myself to show people different sides to me. The fact that I'm not wheelchair bound, but wheelchair bound. And I hate that word. I hate that phrase. And I got to use that this season to show people, like, no, I can get up and transfer onto a bed. I can actually stand for a little bit. I got to even just make myself more comfortable with it. But that could have only happened. That only happened because I had that conversation with the team. Where this is what I can and cannot do. So conversation is very, very important.
And you see now, even for the people who watch the show, they get to learn more about your condition and what, because for me as well, when it comes to all these conditions that are out there, with Down syndrome, I had to see it on TV to understand what it is. Even I like medical shows as well, because they get to go deeper into the conditions, whatever condition it is, whether mental health or just physically, or just when it's that do with the senses, and you get to to see. We do continue with this conversation right here as we commemorate this day, the 3rd of December 2023. It's Gabz FM. Do keep it locked. It is Gabz FM, power to engage your world. We're going to be doing the last 7 to 10 minutes of this conversation right here with Mumsie Odirile, who is an actress, and we are commemorating International Day of People with Disabilities. Now, we just were talking, just the stages that you've gone through, the different experiences that you've got. At least you got called for a second, because not everybody gets called for a second audition. So clearly they saw something, and I guess maybe a season 2. Now, in terms of I know you because I see you on TV, and Botswana has people with disabilities, and when I look at film and TV, it's not just being on stage. You get to MC as well. The other people who have disabilities, and it's not just about being on camera. There's the writer, there's the director. In terms of now, let's say when you talk to other people with disabilities, do these conversations come up where maybe somebody's asking you, Nagana, I'm good at writing, I would love to write, I would love to get into the space. Do you happen to meet people who would want to get into the space and probably think because of their disability they can't?
Yes, of course. I think for me, I feel like my purpose on this earth, even with my social media, for me, it's just representation. If there had been somebody in the past who looked like me, who did what I do, it would have given me hope. I don't know where I got the strength to just be like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to pursue my dreams. But I love that I'm able to use my experiences and my journey to show my fellow kings and queens with disabilities that your disability really should not be what defines what you can or cannot do. It really starts from within. That's what I love to tell them. It starts from within. If you believe that you can do it, then do it. Somebody else is going to feel like, I'm Mitota, can you really do it? But if you show them and you're like, okay, fine, let me show you that I can actually do it, then they'll be like, okay, cool. So it starts within. It starts with you believing, and it starts with you just taking the bull by the horns and being like, I'm going ahead with this. And that's just me. That's just me.
Now, you're talking about being this beacon of hope. And you just in your journey right now, are you also just thinking for the future in terms of even just developing a show that has a person with disabilities as a lead? Is it one of those things you're thinking, okay, having a production company, because you studied media,
I studied theater.
Yeah, same thing. You have more than one degree in the space. Are you thinking ahead, and I like
This is crazy.
and I like how he's here, your dad is here, and I like how he's already, you've had this conversation with him. Is it something that you're looking at? I mean, seriously, because like I say, you look at other markets, shows are purposefully, I don't even let this word purposefully, I don't even know if I'm using it right, but shows are intentionally, that's the word that I was looking for. Shows are intentionally written with the mindset, okay, we're writing a character who has this condition. And they actually get to be big shows. Like the lady that I mentioned who stars in A Quiet Place. She was in the first one, the second one, and I believe even the third one. You know, and the show, you see, A Quiet Place is centered around where there are these creatures that attack when they hear sound. So being deaf being deaf is an actual ability that you need, because they use sign language in the movie.
Nice.
You see. And there've been a lot of movies that these fantasy shows that show you that, okay, now what we would call normal is actually you're gonna go. You have to divert to, now we have to depend on a person who's blind to take, like Bird Box.
Yes. Yeah.
You see? You know, all these shows that are written, and I would like to believe that the people who, because with most, like even directors or writers, they don't know, this was inspired because a relative was like that, a sibling was, had this disability, and they said, you know what, I'm gonna write a show like this.
Yeah.
So can we expect you to, no pressure, in the near future for you to take that bold step?
I laugh because I feel like even my entire family listening to this are literally just like, yo, finally, somebody will say, I've wanted to do it, but I think just being unsure, self-doubt is a thing, and just not being sure if it could really work, it has held me back. But it is something that I've thought of doing, I've considered doing, and now that you're asking about it, maybe I just might consider it a little bit more. So yeah, stay tuned. Keep your eyes peeled and your ears, open. You never know.
Because I would encourage you to do it because, like I say, I think currently on TV, especially on big shows, which we don't have that many of, you're on arguably one of the biggest shows that we currently have on TV, which is a show that could easily, if given 4 days, it'll manage, because from what I know and what I've seen, the capacity is there to fill up 4 days of the same show. So you are there, people are seeing you, and trust me, you find that you being on the show, for families that sit there and watch and they have a person with a disability similar to yours or another one, it probably you've helped some family somewhere in the country get to have a conversation with that child. Because sometimes you find that, because as Botswana, there's always been this thing of parent is here, the child is here. And when there's a disability, how we tatakawane within the family and all these things. So you being there probably has helped one or two families have a conversation.
I hope so. There was a time I was a close family friend, I'll put it that way, put up a WhatsApp status. Responded in a very manner towards somebody with a disability, and I'm Mona. And I responded to that and I was like, that's a perfect opportunity for you to now have that conversation. Don't make them feel bad. Don't make them feel like Sebasi Drilling is wrong. They just don't know. They just really don't know. And Lena, it's giving you a chance to actually have a reference point when you have this conversation. You're like, okay, there's this thing called disability. And, there's some people and this is how we interact with them. And of course, you're not going to know, you're not going to know everything. especially maybe if you haven't been exposed to disability when but it starts somewhere. It really starts somewhere. And I've helped families somewhere, and that is really what I am here to do, just to make conversations easier and to give people hope. It's really not about me. Hey, I'm quoting my fave ATI. It's not about me, it's about the people. Yeah.
Mumsie, thank you very much. Unfortunately, we don't have much time. I'd like to pick up this conversation again next year sometime, because I believe there's a lot that we could have gotten into, but, because of time, we couldn't. But thank you very much for helping me as well have this conversation. Mm-hmm. And where can we find you on social media if you want to get in touch with you? Are you accessible in terms of, are you friendly?
I am super, super friendly. I am on Facebook, Mumsie Odirile, but you can just look up It's Mumsie, because there's to find my page, just It's Mumsie, one word, It's Mumsie. And on Instagram, It's Mumsie. TikTok, It's Mumsie. That is the brand. It's Mumsie is basically just Mumsie. This is Mumsie. So yes, send me a DM. I might take a while to reply because hey, Thank
you very much, Mumsie Odirile, actress, and we'll keep checking you out on TV.
Thank you.
Love's Lounge.